Are you busting your monthly budget every month and you just can't figure out why it's not working? Today on Money Article Monday, we are going to talk about an article called 9 Reasons Why Your Budget is Failing and How to Fix It. If you are new to my channel, my name is Jennifer. On Money Article Mondays, we pick an interesting article about money or a blog about money and we chat about it. Let's see if we can learn some new things about our budgets and why they may not be working. This article was written by Marissa Bell Meterel. I'm not sure. As always, I will have the article linked below for you to read it in its entirety. Let's get into this. Is it possible for you to budget and save for expenses no matter how far in advance you know about them? Does the word budget give you a sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach? No, it doesn't. Not for me, at least. Is it for you? I enjoy budgeting. I think it's fun to write out a budget and try to figure out where you can squeeze your money and where it should go. If the answer is yes, you're not alone. A 2019 Debt.com poll found that only 67% of American households prepare a monthly budget. So let's get into the 9 reasons why your budget is failing you and how to fix it. Number 1, it's not realistic. Yeah, I think it would have to be realistic. No, this one is very, very true because a lot of people want to get ahead and want to, trim as much as they can, but then they bust their budget because they weren't realistic about how much they needed in a certain fund. The article says, if you've ever abandoned a new diet just days after starting because the only thing you could eat were carrot sticks, you understand the futility of an overly restrictive and unrealistic plan. You remember the South Beach diet back? Maybe I was like 19 or 20, so what year was that? We're gonna go with 2003 or 4. Maybe that was around the time frame. Man, I tried that and I had the worst headaches from, I think it was sugar you got rid of, and my stomach was all messed up. Yeah, I abandoned that diet real quick. As I digress, the article says, similarly, many budgets leave no wiggle room, making them impossible to follow for any length of time. If you're starting with 0 savings and no budget at all, it's not really realistic to expect yourself to completely overhaul your spending and eliminate impulse purchases or unexpected expenses in a month's time. Absolutely, as I have said before with a budget, I think it takes about 3 months to really do a budget consistently and get it right. I don't think that you get it right automatically because you really don't know. Some people just don't know what they need to spend or that they are spending. They don't realize it until they start tracking it. And then, once you can have a few months of tracking it and figuring that out, then you can start seeing where you can pare back or where your weak spots are. But it's something that is a process that takes time to learn, especially if you're brand new at it. The writer says the solution is finding the budget method that works best for you and your family. At the very least, you should be tracking your spending each month through an app. Well, I like to just write things down. I don't know about you, but I'm pen and paper kind of a girl. If you find that you're already spending most of what you earn on living expenses and other needs, saving 50% of your income isn't attainable. Yeah, so if that was your goal, then you've got to, like the article says, pick different targets to reach. For example, cut back from eating out 3 times a week to only twice. Instead of going out to the movies, take advantage of public libraries' free resources. We know this article was written before 2020, right? So there are ways that you can save money. On my channel, I have tons of ways to save money, all about living frugally. And living frugally can help you with that budget to be able to, work within the money that you're earning or to be able to reduce your expenses. That way you can have more of your income to save. The second reason your budget might be failing you, per the author, is you don't know why it doesn't work. If you don't understand the reasons your budget keeps failing, you're never going to find one that works for you. Knowing what about your current system or those you've abandoned in the past has tripped you up can help you figure out how to succeed in the future. Yes, so I mentioned in my budgeting video that I combined, I think, 3 types of budgets: a monthly, a bi-weekly, meaning a monthly, a paycheck to paycheck, and one envelope system. That's how I budget. And I've tried literally everything else. And what I found with the phone and the apps is I just don't like tracking things that way. I'm old school. I like to track things by writing it out. It just works better for me. But somebody else may not like ever writing things down. So you have to really figure out what works for you. And there are so many people that say, this is the right budget. This is the way to budget. This is how you should do it. You should follow the 50, 20, 30, 45, 99, whatever kind of a rule. Well, not necessarily, because we are all different. So the same thing isn't going to work for each of us. We need to understand that. So what you need to do is do your research on different budget tactics and learn from other people, learn what the budget that they recommend is, and then make your own soup, as I would say. The writer says the solution in this one is to pay attention to the feelings you have when you think about your budget. Are you ignoring it because you hate spreadsheets? Ditch the spreadsheets. She talks about some budgeting apps, etc. If you think budgeting is boring and you lose interest quickly, brainstorm ways to make it more fun. For example, turning it into a game. Thinking of staying on track, like a thrill. Absolutely. For those of you that are very visual, you might want to take and create, a goal list. If you've seen on my channel, we have the house payoff tracker, something that you can see. So maybe you print out a picture of a piggy bank and you kind of section it off into how much you want to save, and that's something that you can visually look at. So we're almost like the type where we need a carrot dangled in front of us to keep doing something. There has to be some sort of positive motivation or positive reward. If there's not, you're not going to keep doing it. I mean, if you are on a diet and you don't ever lose weight, you're not going to keep doing it. The number 3 reason your budget may not be working for you is you don't know your spending style or triggers. I do think this is very important. If you don't know what you splurge the most on or what types of situations make you throw caution to the wind, you can't choose a budget that fits your style. For example, if you almost always stick to your grocery budget, but you can't stroll past a clothing store without ducking in just to look, then strutting out $50 poorer, your grocery budget probably isn't your most significant problem. Solution: knowing both your triggers and your strengths can help you in a no-fail strategy that works for you. Pay attention to your spending style. So this is where I talk about the 3 months. What you're going to see within that 3 months, once you start tracking everything that you spend, is you're going to start seeing those triggers and the things that are your fails. For me, during the year of 2020, it was eating out, and it has, the last couple of months, it's picked up a little bit, but I'm again trying to go back and stop that activity or that bad habit. So you've got to figure out what it is. Is it going to the grocery store and getting all the good food? Is it going out with friends? Is it spending too much money on clothes you never end up wearing? Is it Amazon Prime and having everything delivered to your front door? You're going to figure it out when you do those first 3 months of tracking what you're spending. The 4th reason your budget may not be working is your partner, family, and friends aren't on board. Yeah, especially if somebody in your household isn't on board, that could be a really big sticker. So let's see what she talks about here. If you're trying to make and stick to a budget, but the other people in your household aren't willing or even aware of your efforts, they could unintentionally sabotage you. Think about your past attempts at budgeting. Does your partner scoff at trying to save money, or are your roommates encouraging you to splurge when you want to be saving? The people we spend time with influence our spending habits for better or worse. You want to surround yourself with people who are positive, and not to say that you can't spend time with people who maybe don't have the best money spending habits, but maybe realizing that they do and making sure that you're conscious of it and don't buy into it. So let's read what she has to say about what the solution is, because this, I think, can be probably top issue for some people who aren't able to stick to a budget, is maybe their partner or their family just are not on board. The solution here depends on who's being the bad influence. Well, yeah, if they're living with you, it's going to be a lot harder than if it's just a friend that you could easily remove from your life. Before imposing yet another budgeting strategy on your partner or family, talk with them about your short and long-term goals. Would you like to buy a house soon, travel more, or have time to learn a new language? Your goals don't have to be budget goals, simply things in your life you'd change given the opportunity. Once you've identified them, think about how having more control over your budget and thus more money at your disposal can help accomplish those goals. Yes, so it's again the carrot. So, thinking about money, doing spreadsheets, sitting down, talking about money, especially if you have debt in the household or somebody who doesn't like to be controlled over their money, can absolutely be a touchy subject. So, finding that carrot, what is that goal that they want to look forward to? What is that one thing? The one thing that changed me was one book, and it was the book A Love Your Life Not Theirs by Rachel Cruz. It just spoke to me as a woman. It spoke to me as somebody who was seeing so much stuff on social media that was, look at me, and seeing all this money spent. That book spoke to me. So it takes, you can't change people, they have to change themselves. But helping people think outside and thinking maybe, what is your goal? You got that person, maybe they want a new car, maybe they want a new house, maybe they want X, Y, Z. What is that thing? Start there. The fifth reason your budget may not be working is it doesn't fit your lifestyle. Yeah, maybe your lifestyle is too expensive. If you've budgeted 30% of your take-home pay on housing but live in an area with a high cost of living, adjust the categories and make your budget work for you, not the other way around. You also have to choose a budget with categories that fit your lifestyle. Correct. This is where I spoke earlier about, certain budgets that say 25%, 30%, 50%. Who designed that? Who came up with that? It doesn't fit everybody because everybody's needs are also different and everybody's wants are different. Some people could want to live in a tiny house, which are super freaking cool. Some people could want to live in an off-road scamp, which, Elsa Ray and Baron, a channel I have just learned from because of you guys that I am just going down the rabbit hole. It is very interesting. Anywho, some people could want to live in a 4,000 square foot house. It just depends on what your wants are. The writer says, for example, if you download a spreadsheet from the internet that's filled with columns like property taxes and car payment and you don't own a house or a car, you could succumb to temptation to spend that money instead of saving it in those categories because the budget doesn't feel like yours. In my budget video, I told you guys that I basically took ideas of spreadsheet budget templates from others and I created my own, and some people have asked me to add that document, like a Google document, but here's the thing, it's not gonna fit everybody. So that's why I created my own. Just start off by writing out your categories. The way I budget and how I lay it out may not work for everybody. It could work for you, absolutely, but just go onto Pinterest, Google budget templates, look at them, take from them what works best for you. The sixth reason your budget may not be working, you don't have goals. It's much easier to drag yourself to the gym if you have a specific target like losing 20 pounds in 6 months or keeping the money you bet on a fitness goal. Similarly, it's much easier to work towards a financial goal rather than merely saving money because you should. If you find it hard to stay motivated to save money or follow a budget because you don't see the point, you first need to figure out what your goals are. I do a goal board every year, which some people call a vision board, and it doesn't always have to do with monetary things. It could be physical, spiritual things as well. But that board I get to see every single day. It's in my closet. It's where I get dressed. And having those at the front of the mind help you every single day to know why you're saving money. So for instance, for us, as I've talked before, we are trying to pay this house off by the year of 2024. We purchased this house in 2018. So if we pay it off by the year of 2024, when we project to at this point, we will have paid our mortgage in 6 years. So find out what your goal is. If you don't have a target to hit, you're just going to be aiming around and end up, putting your arrow who knows where. The writer's solution to this one is before you try yet another budget, ask yourself some questions. What would you do with an extra $250 or $500 a month? Would you be able to buy a house sooner or contribute more to your retirement plan? Maybe your family could finally take a dream vacation. When you're thinking about your goals, make sure they're SMART goals. I love this acronym, SMART goals. They need to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Whatever the goal is, knowing you're working towards something makes it easier to make it happen and make you stick to your budget. So our goal of paying off our house meets the SMART criteria. It is specific. It is measurable, meaning we know how much we need to put towards our mortgage each month in order to pay it off by that time of 2024. It is attainable because we know that we currently make the amount of money needed to still pay our bills, still live our life, and still, take vacation once a year and still, live very comfortably, but pay our mortgage off earlier. It is also timely because we have an exact time when we expect to do it. What you'll find is when you start making these goals and you start applying the SMART principle, is that typically the time ends up being shorter because you get so excited that you start, getting more intense with saving the money and reaching that goal quicker. The 7th reason is you're not rewarding small successes. Just like a lack of goals can hurt your motivation, failing to build in any rewards can also make it harder to stick to your budget. It sounds counterintuitive since the whole point of a budget is to reduce spending, especially frivolous categories. However, according to a 2017 study published in the Journal of Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, there's some science behind this tactic. By rewarding yourself for minor victories or achieving small goals on the way to a larger one, you trigger the release of dopamine, the feel-good chemical in your brain. The dopamine's positive effects can encourage more of the behavior that brought about its release in the first place. So, what is the solution? To reward your successes without completely derailing your budget, make sure the rewards are small, measurable, and disciplined. For example, if you stick to your budget for the month and don't overspend in any category, reward yourself with an inexpensive luxury. This can be as simple as, doing a bubble bath and going to like the store Lush and getting one of those really cool bath bombs and having a nice bath. Or it can be, having or going out to eat once a month. If you reach your budget, then you actually go out and have a nice dinner and have a glass of wine or a drink. The reward doesn't have to be huge. It's just something small that, again, dangles that carrot in front of you so you keep going all along that path. The 8th reason that your budget might be failing you, the writer writes, it's too easy to spend money. What do one-click ordering, stored payment information, and subscription boxes all have in common? They make it very easy to spend money. Yeah. How easy is it to spend money on Amazon? Like that. We all know that move now on the phone. It's definitely easy. That's especially true if you're paying with credit card. Credit cards encourage consumers to spend more. Yes, it does. Here's the thing with credit cards. There are a lot of people that will say, they're great, you can get the rewards, that's wonderful, that's awesome. Here's my stance on it. What most people end up doing is paying off let's say they pay it off monthly and they don't ever pay the interest. They pay for it with next week's or next month's paycheck. They're buying from Peter Paul, the Peter Paul thing. And what happens is, they're spending it now and then they're going to pay it off later. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're getting cash back. They're getting air miles. They're getting rewards. All right, great, whatever. I've never heard anybody say they get rich off of these things. If they do, maybe I just haven't heard that story. But my point is, the what if you get hurt, you lose your job, you don't have that money come in that week or that month or that next paycheck. That is why I say credit cards are so dangerous, even if you have the best of intentions. Now, if you already have the money set aside and you're just using it and to get those rewards and then you pay it off immediately with money you already had, obviously that's much safer, but that is not what the majority of people do. The 9th reason that your budget is failing you, the writer says, is increase your income. Yeah, if you want your budget to not fail you, you need to increase your income if you've tried everything else. Finally, take a look at your budget and ask yourself if you truly cannot trim any further. Have you cut cable, reduced your transportation expenses, you never eat out, you garden at home, you do all your own maintenance and upkeep, you've probably reached the limit of expenses you can reduce while still leading a life worth living. If this sounds like you, then maybe you need to look into increasing your income. I have one video coming out next week regarding 14 hobbies that you can turn into money. And then I have another Money Article Monday where we read a list of, I think it was 22 possible side hustles. I'll link that one up here. Make sure you're subscribed so you could see the one next week. But it's just kind of thinking about what you could do outside of your normal job to increase your income, which obviously would help if your budget just doesn't work because you don't have enough money coming in. I want to read the final word from the author. Finding a budget that works for you and your family and sticking to it is both an art and a science. It can also be an exercise in frustration. However, a reasonable budget can help you turn money into a tool that you can use to make your life better, happier, and more productive. And we need to start thinking about money as a tool. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I think it was fun and opens up some conversations, some interesting conversations about budgets and why they may or may not work for you and how complex they actually are and how individualized they are as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you back for more videos.